Hello and welcome to this video. Now, it has been a hot second since I've actually posted. My schedule has been really crazy recently, but also I'm coming back around the same time that the devs have. If you guys did not know, just this morning for me or last night for you guys or wherever you are, just within the last 24 hours, there has been a major update to the game, version 1.11.0. Now, I was actually playing around with the beta versions, which you can always find out information about that. A lot of times the devs will post a small update about betas and you can figure out more information about that. But right now I wanted to talk about versions 1.11.0. Now I am going to demonstrate everything in game, but I thought we might as well just go ahead and start by looking at the notes that they put out. So I'm going to talk about the movable clutter in game, so we're going to skip over that. There's also been a lighting update, which I will talk about that too. But the other things is that there is some daily themes as well as some winter music. So for any of those who really like doing the daily themes, there's going to be 7 festive daily themes that are running until December 26th. There are also some new clutter objects. I will be showing this off in the game as well, but this is really exciting. They also did bring back some of the Halloween stuff, except got rid of the carvings and such, so this fits in much more just into any builds that you have. There's also a ton of change logs. You can find a lot of this stuff, mainly that like the lightings have changed, which I'll talk about what this means if you didn't notice it, the updated winter music, the new clutter, as well as a bunch of minor things, such as sheep are avoiding clutter, birds are now landing on a bunch of things. You can find all of this within the patch notes on Steam. My favorite things, as always, is I put out a community post saying that I hit the 1 million brick limit again. This doesn't really mean much to anyone, but these two were kind of Panda specific because I also hit the roof limit. So this is really exciting to see in game. So there's the little panda for us guys. Other than that, there are just some other things like lanterns and flags ignore collisions. There's a lot of fixing within any sorts of crashes, such as that, little things, and just a happy holidays. Now this is a lot of information, but I think it would just be better if we hop into the game and show off what is happening. Alrighty, so I've gone ahead and I've already opened up the game. So now the first part of the update that I want to talk about is the lights. So Tom worked very hard on the lights, and I don't know if you guys noticed it or if you guys like recall, but if you placed down a lantern and then you placed again and placed and just kept placing lanterns, eventually the first couple of lanterns you placed would actually stop emitting light. Like it looked like it should have been glowing, but it actually wasn't. That has actually been a bug, or has been the way since the demo era, and that actually is because of the fact that only the last 32 lanterns would light up. So if you placed down 33, the very first lantern that you placed would stop emitting a glow around it. And after a long time now, there has been an update and Tom has increased that number from 32 to 32,000. So no one should be really reaching that threshold for a little while now, I think. But that does just mean that all your lights are going to be a lot brighter now. So I have loaded up an older Glade. This is one that I did during the demo, but this I knew for a fact had over 32 lanterns. So now I believe if I turn it to nighttime, all of the lights should be lighting it up, and it looks so bright. I really do like it. I really like how this looks. Every single lantern now properly lights up and emits that glow around them, and that's just really exciting to me. Now, there was also another part of this update which I did want to show. When placing down a lantern now, going into the palette tool, if you left click on the lantern, you can actually now change the brightness of the glow that is being emitted, which is really fun. And this also works on lanterns that are hanging. It does not work for windows. You aren't able to change that. But being able to change like how bright your lantern is really amazing to me. Something else that Tom worked on during this update is the fact that all the colors should be emitting that same amount of glow around it. Before, it kind of seemed like the blue and the purple seemed a little bit dim, you know, but now they are all lighting the same amounts comparatively to everything else, which I am really stoked about. This has been an amazing light update that I've been looking forward to for quite a while. I mean, 32 is such a small amount of lanterns, but now 32,000 is a crazy amount. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is we'll hop into my little test glade over here. I built a small little house, and by small I mean I put together 3 buildings. So the first thing I want to take notice is I am recording this during the holiday season, and they did mention some festive things, and that includes this wreath and this doorbell. Now, I don't know if the doorbell or the wreath or either of these are staying after the holidays. I know that the winter glades and the daily themes are staying until December 26th, the Boxing Day. These are all just done by clicking on the doors and you can regenerate them, but this is like that holiday feel, and I did just want to mention that briefly. But I want to talk about clutter. If you now hover over clutter, you can see an item actually has that link next to it, and this is the same for this window. If I hover over the window, now that object has a link to it. If I click on the door, all of the objects that have a link are now being generated. This works just the same as it did before, but oh, I've spawned a window. There we go, an item. If you also hover over an item, it tells you what it is linked to. Like this anvil here, you can see is linked to this door, which is part of the procedural generating, and this works the same as it did before. You can click on windows, etc., etc. If you now left mouse button left click on an item, it unlinks. So if I hover over the door, this wood pile is no longer linked to it. That means if I click on the door again, the item's not going away. I can spawn new items, but this wood log or this stack of wood logs is not moving. Now you can also left mouse click and drag the item around now. Now the linked clutter works the same as before. It will only spawn if there is space to spawn. But if I click on the item, it won't now go away. I've unlinked the 2 items. Now the clutter items actually don't, they clip quite a bit. I did ask Anna about this. She was the one who worked a lot on the clutter, and that's just because she said she wanted more freedom. It seemed like just more of the freedom and the free range you can do with these objects now. She didn't want to seem to limit it due to clipping reasons. So that is something actually really neat that I do enjoy. But these items are really fun. Now, if you hold down the left control button, or it's just the disable snapping button, it's typically left control unless you change the hotkey bind. If you hold that down and the left mouse button, you can now rotate clutter itself. Now they've also done this for the flags and the lanterns. If you hold down that left control and the left mouse button, you can now rotate lanterns and flags just as before. But you can also now right click on clutter. Now this gives you the same option to move it around, rotate, but you'll also see this plus button, and it does what you think it might do. It copies the item, which is crazy. We can now copy clutter items. Now, you can't copy buildings. That is not a feature, but you can copy the clutter items. You don't have to keep clicking and generating new clutter and hoping you get the one you want. You can keep cluttering like the benches, the wheels, anything you want. You can just copy it. Now, moving it around, you can move it under things, of course, like under the buildings. You can also take an item and put it on top of buildings, just as seen before. And I actually did notice this when I was testing out the beta version. If you have a clutter object close enough to a chimney, it does force it to be tiny. Now, most people would do the arrow slit above the chimney technique to force it to be the tiny metal chimney, but I just thought I'd mention that in case no one else really noticed it. I thought that was a really fun thing about the clutter items. So, they also added a bunch of new clutter objects that you might have seen, like the anvil is new, but I thought I'd go ahead and just show off all of the items. Now, I'll start off by saying I did go ahead and collect the Halloween items. And the Halloween items have these carved pumpkins. This is procedural generated now, but these carved pumpkin ones are not going to spawn naturally when you click on windows and such. But I will say they did go ahead and recreate that pumpkins and the in like the barrel with the pumpkins without the carved faces. So these will spawn in now. So we do have those Halloween objects, just more used for everyday glading. Now I'll go ahead and start over here. I will mention, actually, just because I forgot to, you can also erase clutter with the sledgehammer erasing tool, and bird's nests are included. So that means any of the bird nests that are spawning on top of your roofs and buildings and whatnot, you can now erase it, move it, copy it, just the same as clutter, as well as these 3 olden landscaping. You'll notice that if you have an open landscaping in the olden glade, you'll have these tree stumps and these tree logs and these rocks spawning. These work the same way as clutter objects now. So I have some wood here, or like some nature-esque things. There are 3 types of barrels: the pumpkins, the sunflower, and like a bag of potatoes or red apples, whatever. We have the flowers. A lot of these are the same, but this flower box is actually new. I really love this. I think this is actually what sparked Anna to wanting to make more clutter. She mentioned that like it'd be really cute to have a planter box with flowers in it. And then all of a sudden the update comes out and there's a ton of new clutter objects, which is incredible. I really think this is versatile. I love the way it looks and I love the color of the flowers. I also have some wood objects. Before, I will mention with the bench, it always spawned the basket with the green apples or the melons or whatever they are. And now there's also a version where it doesn't have that basket on it. This is just like the wooden stuff. There is now a rack of brooms, which gives me such witch vibes. Like I can imagine putting it outside of a witch's house, and then all of a sudden when the witches come and go, they'll take their brooms and go off into the sky or whatever. There's also this canvas or fabric, I believe is what Anna is calling it. Tom says it looks like the like sleeping bags or whatever, and that is now what I think in my mind too, because I see it as just like, oh yeah, some campers are going out camping, we have our little sleep areas. Of course, I have the Halloween stuff. We have the gardening and tools, which includes this new anvil, which I do think looks really sick. I really like the texture on this and the wood that it sits on. And last but not least, we have like the produce and the food. So we have like the baskets, we have that pumpkin stuff. We do have 2 new like stalls, like market stalls. This is going to be so useful for people who make markets or just want to have like a bakery or something. We now have loaves of bread and produce. And also what is new is this this box of fish. So this is all of the clutter, I believe. Now since I already have all the clutter here, I am gonna go ahead and make sure you guys can get a download to this save. It is in my Patreon, which is in the link in the description. My Patreon is free for anyone. I just like to have all of my downloadable glades all in one place, so you can actually find all of that there. But anyone who wants to start up a glade with all the clutter objects, you can now go ahead and do that because I've spawned it in for us. But this is all that is kind of in the update. So I do want to mention, I might put a photo on screen. I don't know. I'm not very good at editing, guys. But you can stack and like layer a bunch of these objects together. I was attempting to make a little coop. Now I don't have the save because it's in my beta saves folder and I didn't move over that glade. But you can stack and combine a bunch of these clutter objects. You can kind of layer things together and try to create new things, which I think is going to be extremely fun. So I do hope that this update is exciting to all of you guys as much as it is for me. I'm so happy that the devs are back from their break. I do hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will see you all next time. Bye!